Monsanto must go. Crowd gathering at Lonnie House Center, 200 and some strong, marching on. The number of marchers kept getting bigger and bigger as we moved down towards town, ending up at the King Kamehameha Hotel and along the seawall and back. The crowd became stronger in their convictions with each step they took along the Kailua Bay waterfront. Passers-by even started to join the group. A lot of car honking and support from the crowd passing by. Group shop before heading over to Island Naturals for the post-rally.
GMO, no way. Hands up, no spray. Monsanto, go away. You're gonna reap what you sow one day. Wasn't in a water table, saying that it is a fable. We want organic farm to table. We want GMO on the label. GMO, no way. Roundup, no spray. Monsanto, go away. You're gonna reap what you sow one day. Don't mess with our DNA. We want no GMO in Hawaii name. Who's the head of our FDA? You know? Who's the head of our FDA? The former CEO of the Monsanto company. Oh, GMO, no way. Roundup, no spray. Monsanto, go away. You're gonna reap what you sow one day. That's right. Why do you mess with God's creation? Spreading your eyes and your seeds across the nation. So if you see pollinates mine, you can claim it as your own and it's legally bind. Oh, no, no GMO, no way. Roundup, no spray. Monsanto, go away. You're gonna reap what you sow one day.
Your body resists the changes. Why you're looking at so far? When I control your purchase, the place is so
So that's a really good sign for the Big Island. And today, all you guys, most of you, I mean all of you in this room, but most of you in this room, how many do you think?
Couple on, in the room. We had a couple in March.
Yeah, between 6 and 200 or something like that. Because when we started off with like about 300-400, and then as we started walking, people were coming from the cars, coming down the street. And then as we went down to the federal building, coming back, more people started joining.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'd say about 700 people came in. And
Something good.
something good is happening, and it boils down to the using the land and all of our natural resources to where it's beginning to disappear. And people, especially corporations, have decided that they're going to use the last bit of our resources, and they're going to make profits for the boards. And they're coming to Hawaii, and they've been coming to Hawaii since I don't know when, but first it was the Big Five, and these were all bankers and downtown Honolulu guys. And the unions had to organize themselves in order not to become slaves. And then the Big Five downtown guys disappeared. And today we got the Big Five, and they're the Big Five chemical companies that have arms throughout the whole world. So these are not downtown Oahu guys. These are guys that are connected internationally, and they're part of this whole plan to come up with worldwide governments in order to use all of the resources for huge, huge profits. They're so greedy about the profits that they're going to stop at nothing. So they decided that our natural resources, they're going to make sure that they make all the profits they can, and they decided that our food is going to be the profit maker, and that our seeds is going to be the way that they were going to control our food. So these companies, their budgets are bigger than the United States government. These guys are huge, huge, huge. So I'm saying that because we cannot underestimate this battle that we're in. And we are in not just a battle, but a war. There's a war being waged against the natural resources of the state of Hawaii. And that war is being done by corporations. They will do anything they can and use the resources, whether it's sustainable or not. They don't care about the future generations. They're going to use those resources for profit today. And the hell with tomorrow. So, I'm going to talk about the Hawaiians and their responsibility to protect these resources. Hawaiians have a kuleana. They have a kuleana to protect these resources because these resources were handed down for 1,000 years, generation after generation after generation. And it's their kuleana, their responsibility to make sure that these resources get passed on to the future generations, on and on and on. So when these chemical companies came and they started they're not just chemical companies. They've taken over our University of Hawaii. They've given the university all kinds of grants and stuff, and now they have a huge control over our university system. So all of the people that they're pumping out of these universities, they're not pumping out farmers anymore. You don't go to the university and then learn all of the things you need to know so you become a successful farmer. You go to the university now and you come out a successful worker for Monsanto. That's how the system is being changed. And then if you go to our government, you're going to find out that these guys are there every day. They call them lobbyists. They're just a bunch of crooks handing out money. That's all they are. And they've handed so much money out that we cannot, last year when we went, we couldn't get a hearing. So when we went there and told them how these companies were poisoning our lands on Molokai, and they're turning our lands into dust bowls. They plow these lands 5-6 times a year. and they plow them over and over until the dust becomes smaller and smaller, the particles get smaller and smaller, and the winds pick them up. And in the dust are all of these chemicals that they're putting in the soil every day. So these soils are laden with chemicals. And they tell our elected officials that they're over-regulated. And they cry like babies, telling the sad stories about how much it costs them because of all of this over-regulation. And if you come to Molokai and you ask the lady who works for the FDA, she gives you absolutely no answer. She don't know anything they're doing, nothing. So from the federal government to the state government, and then now they're having trouble with the county government, that they're going to take over all of these governments, and nobody's going to protect us. All of these poisons in the air on our land are going on our reefs. I don't know if it was 5,000 or 50,000 vana, sea urchins in Waimea, were killed outside of that river where Pioneer and Syngenta were farming their lands. And on Molokai we can see all of the dust going onto our reefs with all of this poison. And when it rains, it all goes into our reefs. These guys have been using Roundup. Roundup is becoming useless. They put so much Roundup into the land and into the air that the weeds have become immune to Roundup. So now they're using chemicals that they had put aside because they were too dangerous. They're using these chemicals now. Dicambra, 2,4-D. These were the chemicals they were using during the Vietnam War. So these chemicals are more volatile than Roundup. They float more into the air. So now, because they're so volatile, you all know in Hawaii what happens. When the air warms, it goes up and it settles over the mountains and it condenses and then it rains. So now, in that condensation is the dust with the chemicals, these volatile chemicals. If you look at, because of these, it's not only the weeds, it's the insects, the ones that eat the corn. Now, when they eat the corn, they die, their stomachs explode. Because in every single corn, in the leaf, in the roots, in the stalk, in everything, is BT, a killer that kills insects. So these things are all in our plants, and most of the stuff that they're growing, almost all of this stuff, goes into bags, and on the bags is unfit for human consumption. You cannot eat this corn. So they feed it to animals. And then we eat the animals. And they say, don't worry, because by the time it gets into your stomach, it's going to dissipate like magic. And then now they're finding out that BT is in the bloodstream of babies and pregnant women. So the government is not protecting us. They're not protecting us. So that's why it's so critical that we do things like we did today. So that people driving by, so everybody's thinking, what is that GMO? What are you guys doing, crazy guys there on the road? What's the matter with you guys? Go get a job or something. You know, it's like, so we and you need to get educated. There's a red book. If you start with that book, that's a really good start. Start finding out what other people know, and then they're sharing their knowledge in that book. It'll give you a good base to start from.